Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee. And I have an amazing new product from Soundstream here in my hand. This is the HDHU9813RG for Roadglide. And I'll say it for all you Roadglide owners, it's about time somebody finally made a radio for your bike. The options we've had have been terrible, and by now your stock radio has failed, it's been repaired, it's been thrown in the trash, and you've had to buy something else. And I'm so excited we finally have an amazing option for your bike. Hang out as I go over the options on this new radio, and we'll show it to you in a bike and go over all the features as we use it. All right, so I'm going to try to do my best to explain why this radio is so important and such a game changer for all you guys with your 1998 to 2013 Harley Davidson Roadglides. So first, let's talk about the factory option. Most of your factory radios, there were very few had CD, most of them had AM, FM, and most did not have Bluetooth. And by now, from the vibration, from water, from just age, those radios have died. If you were lucky enough to get one with CD, it didn't work well when it worked, and eventually that CD player went out as well. But it's 2023 almost. We've got just a couple weeks away, and the future's here. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto have been those game changers that are in that new GTS radio in your 2019 and newer Harley Davidson. Now we want to bring you into the future and talk about this radio as well, but let's back up to those options. So previously to now, you would have had to have bought whether it be a single DIN marine radio, which we know are not waterproof. They were meant for a boat. They weren't really meant to get wet. They were just for moisture and maybe some UV protection. And you would have put that in a cage or a mount in your Roadglide, and anytime it rained, water would have ran right into the fairing, and these radios were good for maybe a year to 2 years of use, and then that money was thrown in the trash. So if you went with the plug-and-play options from Aquatic AV or even Rockford Fosgate, there's a couple units. They're very expensive and they do very little. They were AM FM with Bluetooth. I mean, that's all you got. And you paid $600–700 for one of these radios like I have here in my hand. Here's the Aquatic version. It's been a good radio as far as lasting, but if you really get looking at it, it's a very thin stamped chassis. If water were to get in here, it's not sealed. Water could get in the radio, so it's not a super long-term built radio. It is plug and play if you have front speakers, but they didn't even put a rear speaker connector on it. So even as expensive as this $700 radio is, it really just doesn't seem like you're getting what you pay for. You're getting that normal Harley Davidson markup. But let's talk about the Soundstream option that they've come out with. Now, first off, you'll see it's very different in look. It has this oval face that fits perfectly in that oval snout portion of your inner fairing on your Roadglide. They've put an amazing gasket on the back and completely water sealed this display. And I know it's probably kind of hard to tell in this video. Maybe you can tell compared to this radio, but this screen is actually larger than the radio screen on the GTS and GT radios in the new Harley Davidsons. I've measured it out. It's almost a ½ inch bigger diagonally in screen size. It's also an optically bonded display. I know you're wondering, am I even going to be able to see that in the sunlight? Absolutely, because this is the same technology in the new GTS radio in the 19 and newer Roadglides. And you can see it great in the sun. We'll do a test here a little later and we'll show you with the light on it how well you can see it. Being optically bonded, that is the best type as far as from touch. It does work with most leather gloves. If your gloves will operate your phone screen, it'll operate this screen as well. This retains your factory thumb controls on your handlebars, so they'll fully function just like they did factory. But it's completely water sealed and IPX rated, meaning, we're going to show you later a little bit more in depth, but this thing will not have a problem from rain. If you wash your bike, it's not going to be a problem. Obviously, we're going to always tell you never pressure wash the screen on a radio. It never makes sense, even on one that is IPX rated. Amazing gasket here that we'll show you shortly going in the bike. Fits super snug and tight and keeps water from going into the fairing as well. So not only will water not get through the screen and mess up the radio, but water's not going to go into your fairing and get to other electronics you may have mounted in there, such as amps and LED lights and such. The chassis is completely aluminum. It is completely sealed. It uses factory mounting points. And they've actually put a better connector than factory on the back. So we have this rotating locking connector just like the 14 and newer bikes would have. And this full plug-and-play harness, if you'll notice, there's no module needed to keep thumb controls. It's built in. But we have not only front speaker connection and power and ground, but we have rear speakers. So if you have an 05 or newer that had the Tour Pack speakers from the factory, plug this in, those speakers are going to work. There's no wiring, completely plug and play. Now I got to tell you, the only time that it's not completely plug and play, and it will still plug in, if you have a CVO, those factory boom amps are not going to work. And at Volunteer Audio, we're going to have options for plug and play amp packages for all bikes, including the CVOs, to take care of that issue. Now, as far as the radio goes and feature, this is very similar to the HDHU14 Plus that we've been using for a full year now. And there were a lot of naysayers out there that said it wasn't going to be a good quality radio. But I'll tell you, a year in, we've been through about 1,500 of these radios, and they've been phenomenal. They've held up in the Harley environment unlike any radio we've ever sold. It's the lowest defect rate of any radio we've ever put in a Harley. But let's talk about features. So it's very similar to the HDHU14 Plus. And the reason I brought that radio up is it's the same internals. It's the same amplifier. It's the same screen technology. So those have lasted amazing. This one will too. I have no concerns about longevity or how well this is going to hold up in Harley use. Same internal equalizer and audio setup. So this is the part that I think is the real game changer, is we have a 13-band adjustable equalizer. That gives us so much control over your audio, but on top of that we have high-pass filters, which block low-end bass from your speakers, so they're going to be clearer and louder. We also have low-pass filters built in for the sub-out if you add a subwoofer or some mid-bass drivers, with the bandpass capability of turning on a subsonic filter also. So, layman's terms, tons of audio adjustment in this radio. Most of the other options out there had bass and treble adjustment, maybe mid adjustment, very lacking for the high price you were paying for the radio. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Simply plug in your phone to this USB, and it comes long enough to go to either front storage pocket and has a grommet to drill and install that. Plug in your phone and your apps are going to come up on screen. Now you have Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, all those music apps that you love, Pandora, Slacker, Spotify, Hulu, Tidal, Amazon Prime Music. You can just go on and on and on. SiriusXM. All your music apps, your navigation apps are on screen where you want them while you're riding down the road instead of trying to look at your phone. No longer will you need to put your phone on your handlebar. Game changer. Looks so much better than your stock radio. This brings your bike into the future. But with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, AM, FM, Bluetooth, if you just want to connect the phone to send audio to it wirelessly without plugging it in. And at Volunteer Audio, we have some options to plug in a wireless adapter to the USB to get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless as well. So, I don't think I've missed much about the radio's features at this point. Outside of this, let me add one more. So the HDHU14 Plus for the 14 and newers did not do SiriusXM. That's going to be in the new SI model, and this one's actually closer to the SI model in feature. All you have to do is get an SXV 300 tuner from SiriusXM, plug it in the back. Now you have SiriusXM capability without your phone connected. This is $35 currently at volunteeraudio.com. And when you buy it, you get a $70 prepaid Visa card. So you actually make $35 by buying this and adding it to your radio. So SiriusXM capability, which is even better than the 14 Plus that we had for the 14 and newers. And then last but not least, we have a backup camera input. So this is made for your Harley. This isn't an off-the-shelf radio that was for a car, then put into a Harley. And even to the point that normally we would have a reverse input on a car, so when you went to reverse, it would trigger your camera on. On this radio, there's actually a camera icon that when you press that icon, it doesn't receive a reverse trigger. It actually sends out power to power a camera, because we know you don't have something in the back to power the camera, and turn on that video through RCA right on the screen. So we'll have backup camera options to mount at the back under your Tour Pack. So as you're backing in a parking spot, whether it's be, like say on a Tour Pack or on a rear fender, to make sure that you don't back into the curb with the back of your stretched bags or stretched fender. Great idea, great addition here that we didn't have on the HDHU14 Plus as well. So, same technology in that newer radio, added SiriusXM capability, has the same awesome equalizer inside, and added us a camera input. Nothing has been left out or not thought of on this radio. Again, Volunteer Audio will have plug-and-play amp and speaker packages for this radio as soon as it ships. And I want to clarify, the radio I'm holding, this is a pre-production model. It's exactly what we'll be getting as they start to ship. But I think today is December 16th, 17th, something like that. All my days run together anymore. Somewhere around the 22nd, we expect to hopefully see these roll into the country, and somewhere between the week of Christmas and New Year's, they should be shipping out to customers. They're currently available for pre-order at volunteeraudio.com, and as soon as you see the pre-order leave on the website, that means they'll just be shipping and they'll leave out within 24 hours of your purchase. But enough talk. Let's get to a bike. I want to show it to you installed. We're going to turn it on. We're going to go through the features on screen. We're going to show you how the thumb controls work, and I've got a water test for you here at the end. So let's move to the bike. All right, so what I'm showing you here is not the radio that we're installing, but I wanted to take a second and talk about an issue we've had with previous radio options. Now, we talked about the Aquatic Radio and the Rockford Radio and the ability to put an aftermarket marine radio, but some of you guys really wanted a screen so bad that you put a car stereo with a flip-out screen in your bike. Now, some of the issues from that is vibration of the bike actually wears out these faces super fast. There was no water resistance at all, and if water got on this radio, so now you had to be super paranoid anytime it rained or you got caught out, this radio is going to go out at nothing. But I wanted to demonstrate here, as you see, we've got our light on, and you can it's so hard to see this screen. There's so much glare, and it's so hard to see. I wanted to get you a good reference point because when we put this other one in, we're going to look at it with the same brightness of light on it, replicating the sun, and show you what it would look like if you were outside. But let's pull this Pioneer radio out, and let's put in a good waterproof radio with CarPlay and Android Auto and show you how it works. All right, so here we are at our bike. 2012 CVO Roadglide, Screaming Eagle 117. This bike is beautiful. No reason to be getting rid of this bike. He's already got it. He loves it. It's everything he wants. Only thing missing was an awesome radio. So I took the original radio out. Nothing's been modified on this. It had a Pioneer flip out in it, but all stock wiring in place. The original radio was held in with 2 bolts just on each side. Once you take those out, it slides out. The new radio slides in. So let's slide it through the hole, show you how easy it is to go in. It does go in from the front. Now once it's in, we're just going to grab the back of it and we're just going to kind of wiggle it a little bit, get that gasket to seal in, and wow, it looks great. Fits very, very tight. Just that easy. It's in the hole. Now from the side, yeah, both of the factory screw holes are lined up perfect, so all we got to do is put those 2 screws back in on each side, tighten those down, and plug in our harness. So let's move our camera and get you to the back side and show you how it hooks up. So real quick, I just want to show you how well these bolts line up. All we got to do is take our screw, start it in the hole. Some of the other radios we've put in the past, you just have to struggle to get them to line up because they just really weren't made right. But they've done such a great job that they line up perfectly. So this install is going to be so easy. So push it in, put the bolt in, tighten the 2 on each side. That part's going to be okay. So I wanted to show you how this goes in and just how easy it is. So we've got the radio mounted in the bike. I'm going to unhook this and show this to you. So this is our USB port. They've made it plenty long to go to either side of the bike here to your storage pocket. You'll drill you a small hole in the bottom, pop this through. Now you have a place to hook up for CarPlay and Android Auto. That comes with it. You don't have to buy anything extra. They've done an awesome job on the plug-and-play harness. Simply plugs into the back of the radio, rotate this lever, and it's going to lock in so it doesn't come unplugged. At this point, all we have to do is plug in the 1 factory harness. We're wired. Now, if you had a TurPack connector like you see here, factory, you can plug it in as well. This was a Boom Audio CVO. The amplifiers have been taken out, and this is no longer in use on this system. It's done through RCA, so that backs us up to the rest of the radio here. We're just going to plug in our antenna. We do have the option to put a microphone. Most of our installs, we don't put the mic because our customers don't plan on trying to talk over the engine, over the wind, through a microphone. So most time that isn't used in our installs, but it is optional, comes with it. You could mount a microphone if you want to do that. You are going to have some pretty slow speeds to make that work. So on the back of this harness, it's going to have an amp turn-on connector. It's already got the plug that's used on pretty much all the 14 and newer Harleys. And what that means is all the plug-and-play amps out there, whether it be Precision Power, the same company that makes this Soundstream Radio, or one of the other brands, most of the time they're going to come with this amp turn-on connector. So you already have that plug to just plug it in for your amps to turn on. If you don't have that connector, simply cut this and hardwire it to it. No big deal. Now, our RCA connections here from our previous install, we just have front and rear RCAs. So we're just going to go ahead and plug those in where they go on the back of the radio. Now, you don't have RCAs on your stock radio, but a lot of you might have already put an amp in that did this. Now, this has differential RCA inputs. They are awesome. They're 4-volt pre-outs. They're plenty strong. The only times we've seen an issue is when you're using a common ground input amp. It's going to be some of the Brazilian amps like Sound Digital aren't going to be happy with RCA in. In those cases, you're going to have to go speaker level, which lets us talk a little bit more about the harness they sent us. So all of your factory speaker wires are right here exposed. So if you're going to do a high level install with an amplifier, you could just cut this, send the part from the radio to the input of your amp, the output side of your amp right back to what's feeding into the bike. So very nice T-harness. Normally you'd have to buy this separate. They're over $100 to buy a T-harness from another manufacturer. It's included with the radio, and they purposely leave these exposed for those instances when you're adding an amp to make this very, very easy. So I think the only other thing on the back we haven't talked about, there is a sub in. There's the Sirius XM input. If you're doing Sirius XM, simply take your tuner, plug it in here, hide it under the fairing, mount an antenna. You've got satellite radio. It's not rocket science. Very easy to do also. And then you have your 2 subwoofer RCA outs, which we haven't used yet. But so well thought out, so easy to install. If you can get your fairing off and put it back on, you can install this radio. That's how easy it is. And as soon as the production models are here, we'll do a step-by-step full install using this bike, and I'm sure we've got plenty of other bikes lined up that we'll be doing how to install amps and speakers to go along with it. So enough talking. Let's get to the other side. Let's power it on. Let's listen to it, and let's see how it works. All right, so we've got our radio in, and I want to show you the features, but first I want you to pay attention to this screen. We have the same light replicating like the sun is on this, turned up 100% behind us, that we had on that Pioneer screen. And look how much clearer and how much brighter it is. There's no doubt you're going to be able to see this going down the road, and there's no other radio on the market right now that looks this good and has this kind of visibility while riding. All right, so in our display settings, we're going to have touch key color option here. We can actually make it do a variable color change, or we can set a basic color. We have the options to go through from white, red, orange, yellow, blue, green, purple, and cayenne, which is this light blue. I'm going to go back and leave it on orange because that's normally what we see people are using. You can adjust your nighttime brightness level so that it dims its maximum amount at night because this screen is so bright. We also have the ability here to actually set a custom background. So you can change the background, or you can load a JPEG image on a USB drive, simply plug it in just like you would your phone, and you can hit plus and add that as a custom background to your bike. Very cool option to be able to do that. So let's talk about audio settings. We have balance and fader for a Harley. Look at this. It's got a Roadglide fairing on it there. Looks awesome. Left, right, front and rear, all that can be adjusted right here on screen. Hit reset to go back to just standard balance where they're all equal. We have our 13-band adjustable equalizer. There are quite a few presets in here that you could use. Normally, we're going to use a custom preset. We're going to go in here and we're going to adjust it with an RTA and make it sound the best with the amp and the speakers we've done. But this is all user adjustable. It's just for your personal preference, and there is plenty here to play with and adjust to make it sound like you want it to. So much better than any of the other radio options that are out. So let's talk about crossovers, front and rear crossovers. So we're going to have high pass or low pass crossovers. Here we're doing our high pass. So as we turn this up in frequency, it's blocking the lower bass from distorting your speakers. You also can adjust the slope in which it does that. And they have this really nice visual screen here to show you what you're doing. So as you get to that frequency, how much it falls off. So you know your 6.5 inch or 5.25 inch speakers are not going to play low sub bass. This is going to make it where we don't just cut that bass off, but actually slope it down so the speakers will play it clearly and they won't distort. Lots of adjustment here to make your system sound great. No need for a DSP or any external parts to make this work. We've got our crossover off there. So back up here, let's go to our sub setup. So under sub, we can turn the sub on and off. We can adjust the volume level of a sub if you have it added. And we can also do our crossovers. Now we have a subsonic filter crossover. What that would do is, let's turn our low pass on as well. What subsonic does is it cuts the end down for if you're going to use mid basses. So if you're going to use a mid-bass driver, you could turn this up to, say, 60 hertz, just to kind of slope off that super low bass. But as you see here, turn our low-pass filter up to 200 hertz, so we have that group of frequencies going to your mid-bass, so it's going to play clear. And that is awesome they add to this end, because they know you're going to use either a subwoofer or a mid bass, and there's plenty of adjustment here to make that sound great. You can also adjust the phase of your subwoofer, you know, whether it be 180 out or 0. So normally once we find the correct phase, we leave that alone. You have an amp delay you can turn on and off, and you also have volume settings, so you can change each one of the source levels to make, so radio may be lower in source level than your Bluetooth or your Apple CarPlay. Now you can go in and raise the radio up, so when you change between sources, you don't have such a great change. So that's something added to this one that we didn't see on the previous models. So let's back out of here. We just showed you audio and EQ. I just showed you everything that was inside of there. And then we have our Bluetooth settings. This is just where you're going to connect your phone, clear any old connections and such. So very, very cool. On the front, we also have our camera icon. So if you select the camera button, it's going to bring up a screen to show the camera. We don't have one connected at the moment. I didn't feel it was necessary to tell you what a camera did. You've probably got one in your car. You know what it'll do. But simply pressing that button on screen will bring up a camera and show you behind you or in front of you, wherever you mount it. Let's go back home. Quick key to get to audio adjustments, night and day as far as brightness goes. Let's connect the phone. Let me show you how Apple CarPlay works. Here's all the apps that I have on my phone. So I've got my music apps, got K-Love, iHeart, Pandora, Slacker, SiriusXM. I've got navigation from Waze now. I have navigation from Google Maps. It's just awesome to be able to bring up your maps that are always up to date from your phone on the screen. And look how vibrant and bright this display is. It looks absolutely amazing. And look at how this radio fits this fairing. I mean, it just looks like it would have been factory, like it should have been in there when this thing came out. You know, we're going back 10 years ago now, this bike came out, and the radio makes it look like a new one again. So beautiful, beautiful radio. Slick, clean display. When it's turned off, it looks great as well. And it is a full touch panel, everything. Everything is sealed. There's no doubt, no water is going to get in this. Got a test coming up. Keep watching. I'll show you the water test toward the end of the video. But with all this being said, let's listen to some music and see what it sounds like. All this time, you're the only reason I'm not chasing highs, chasing highs. What is love? Beautiful radio, absolute game changer. I know that word's been used over and over, but there's no other word to describe this. All right, so we've got it in. I've showed you the features. We've listened to it. It sounds great. It looks great, and I know you're excited. If you want to order one of these radios, we have them at volunteeraudio.com. So just click the link above me, and it'll take you right to it. You can pre-order it up to the week of Christmas. Then it's going to start. We expect them in stock between Christmas and New Year's. They should start shipping out. If you see a zero quantity, that means we're out. If we're out, everybody's out. And in the future, we may do another pre-order. We know there's going to be a little bit of a lag between the ones we have in inventory now and the next shipment that comes. So definitely order as quick as you can if you want to make sure you get some out of this first batch. I hope I've answered all your questions. This radio is phenomenal, easy to install, and does so much. If you have more questions, something maybe I didn't touch on that you want to know about, put it in the comments below. I'll be quick to reply to you. You can also reach out at sales@volaudio with your questions. So it's sales@volaudio.com. Go to www.volunteeraudio.com to see all the different Soundstream Reserve radios that we have in stock for the different Harleys. And Street Glide guys, I know you're going, why haven't you come out with one for my bike? In the spring, we don't know an exact date, but in the spring we have a model just for your bike that's just as awesome. Roadglide guys, you lucked up. Yours came out first. So definitely like this video, share it with your friends, hang out. We still have the water test. I'm going to pull this radio out because I want to submit it to a water test. It's a little bit more than I want to put the bike through. So I want to show you just how awesome it is and how well it holds up. So keep watching.
What are you doing?
You said we were going to do a water test. All right, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And I did not talk to the guys at Soundstream about doing this test. But rather than drive the bike into a lake or maybe a swimming pool, I thought it'd be better we'll pull the radio out. We're going to dunk it in this water and just show you how watertight it is. So I'm pretty excited about this. This is cool. This might be a good time to talk about the fact they have a 2-year warranty on all Soundstream Reserve Harley radios also. So check this out. Hey, it's got a good view even underwater. Thought that might be a better test than just sprinkling some water on the face of it for you. Now, anytime you have water on the face of a radio, it's going to get a little confused as you're touching it. So I'm just going to dry it off so I can show you that everything still works. Look here. How awesome is that? Who else can take their radio and put it underwater and it still works? So Ronnie, Brandon, I know you're freaking out right now, but I figured it was okay to do this test. But that's just how confident we are in the Soundstream Reserve Radio. We've been using them for over a year now, and so many Harleys. We've seen so many different things happen. People ride in rain for days and days, and we've had no problems. And Volunteer Audio is so excited and proud to be a authorized dealer for Soundstream Reserve and MotorcycleAudio.com and Precision Power, and I knew you'd want to see this test. Thank you so much for watching about the new HDHU9813RG, and I hope you agree this is the ultimate radio for those 1998 to 2013 Road Glides. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment below, please like this video, share it with your friends, and as always, God bless.